Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. Weather getting warmer out there, and that means it's time to head to a Calhoun's patio or deck near you. Heck, they've got one on the river right in downtown Knoxville, the marina in Lenoir City, on the lake, Melton Hill, any of the other 6 locations. So it's a great time to get outside and enjoy lunch. In a lot of those places, they have somebody strumming a guitar. Good place to just enjoy a happy hour. Calhoun's, 9 area locations. All right. Why do we think Rick Barnes was so honest in his comment about the buyout? Was it simply he cut down the cherry tree and he cannot tell a lie, so he had to tell that? Usually when people say something, there's some motivation behind it. I just wonder if it couldn't be total speculation. He didn't do any favors to UCLA Athletic Director Dan Guerrero. I mean, basically this was throwing him under the bus, backing over him, going forward again, backing up to make sure the job is complete. Because this guy had already blown the buyout with Jamie Dixon at TCU. And if you remember that Sunday night, the story that started coming out and getting serious from LA was they're going to pay the buyout now. They're ready to pay the buyout. And then Monday, you start seeing John Feinstein, well, unless they screw up the buyout. I just wonder, it took forever. I wonder if Barnes thought this is done. They're paying the buyout. It's going to be a clean break, which is what coaches always want. You're in, you're out, unless you're Lane Kiffin. You do a press conference. But you're in, you're out. I just wonder if he wasn't a little ticked at UCLA and let them know that, yeah, I would have been there if they'd paid the buyout. I don't know. It could be that he's just purely honest.
Well,
Any thoughts on this?
Did he lose some fans after this press conference? Well, he lost some fans. I think when the stories broke that he's really interested in going to UCLA, which was on a Sunday, I believe.
Night and Sunday night. Monday morning, he got more serious.
So maybe all of this, in a sense, was, hey guys, I was leaving, as he said in his press conference, and the honesty was maybe if I just go out there and tell everybody what happened, the fans go, oh, okay, so they had offered you X and it was a done deal. Maybe he thought the honesty would bury the hatchet with some people.
Okay. Thoughts?
You know.
Anybody? We don't have to go on a line here. Jump in.
Well, I think you got a point that again, we're speculating here.
Yes, pure
but it could be that he wanted to make the point to everybody that, hey, I was laboring about this thing. Do I look indecisive? Do I look like I was stringing Tennessee out? Well, maybe here's why.
And he made a commitment. He was ready to make a commitment to UCLA. They thought they had something worked out. And then all of a sudden they say, hey, on your $5 million buyout, here's a $2.5 million signing bonus. You take care of your buyout. And he's like, well, wait a minute.
That's not what we talked about last night.
That's not what we talked about last night.
And,
So,
and maybe that's why he torpedoes them.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why he fires a torpedo at him. It's like, you left me hanging, guys, and make me look bad. I've lost fans back at home. So here's a shot.
Yeah,
here's what happened. You know, like cards
most coaches don't say this kind of thing.
No.
So I'm being the skeptic that I am, the cynic. I usually think, what's the motivation?
Here's the one thing I would say, John. Remember when he was building the program, how he was brutally honest about how his players were performing? Yes. He didn't cut any slack then.
Mike, you found him to be incredibly candid. For all the basketball coaches you've covered.
Yeah. As far as for 4 years now of describing his players, especially the first couple of years when things weren't going so well. But even then, even as they got better, he was still brutally honest about what Grant Williams. Grant Williams Player of the Year, but Grant Williams needs to do this, and this better. And as media guys, we were like, wow, this is I don't remember many coaches being this candid about what's going on and what these guys really need to do.
And because of that, I kind of lean more toward Bob's explanation. I think maybe he just was trying to be upfront with fans, thinking it would help to explain everything that was going through his mind, that he wasn't just dragging this out for drama. He wasn't just trying to take fans on some wild 24-hour ride to mess with their emotions, that this is what happened, this is why I stayed, this is why it didn't work out. That's what I would tend to believe because he's been so honest in the past.
Now, here's one where I'm not so sure he was completely honest. You could parse words a little bit. He came out this week and said, for anybody to think Phillip Fulmer hasn't supported me since I've been here, they are crazy. He said he's learned a lot from Phillip Fulmer and that he wasn't bothered in the least that Fulmer didn't go to pick up the Naismith Award with him, although that word certainly got out. I've said several times on this show over the last 2 or 3 months that I had been told by people in the athletic department there are coaches at UT, Barnes was one of them, who weren't thrilled that now that Fulmer was in place, every single spare dime went to football. He had to fight, and there were other people that came out and said, look, he wasn't thrilled that he had to fight for a $130,000 raise for his 3 assistants.
Right.
Okay? But he comes out and says, well, it's crazy to say he hasn't supported me. Okay, I had a couple of people email me and tweet me saying, oh, are you going to back down? No, because the proof is in the other side. He got what to stay? More money for his assistants
Yeah.
and multi-year contracts like the football coaches. So I don't doubt to say Phillip Fulmer hasn't supported me. No one said Phillip Fulmer hasn't supported him. Did Phillip Fulmer support him as much as he wanted to be
what
supported?
extent?
That's
Exactly.
the key.
To what
So
extent?
Personally, I would argue that I don't think he had everything he wanted over there, or else why would he ask for more stuff?
And see, it also,
Thoughts?
there's some legitimate thought to that, John, because when Rick Barnes was talking about what was going on here, it was like, well, we're not doing X, Y, and Z. And there was like some response like, well, we didn't even know we were supposed to be doing that here. And so if you are getting the full support, you're not coming back and saying, look, we're coming up short in this, this, and this. Yeah. And that happened.
And I think that if he wasn't being 100% candid here, it was smart. This was a good.
Yeah.
Exactly. This man's your
you
boss.
got what you wanted, so
High road.
let's all be one happy family.
Yes, agreed.
You have to present a unified front on this one, so I don't fault them, but I don't think they were being totally upfront. I think part of it was just a matter of support, not so much the financial sense. I think it's just the symbolic support. I don't think he necessarily got the day-to-day support. Phillip Fulmer, we see him at football practice all the time. We see him all around everything related to football. During one of the basketball program's best seasons ever, he maybe could have been more visible, and I think things like that just in general they needed to have a frank discussion. So I think this helped them have that discussion, and things should be better going forward because of this. But I think this was maybe a learning experience for Phillip Fulmer as an AD and how you have to manage all sports.
They showed Fulmer a couple of times on television.
What, during the
basketball season?
Right.
More than a couple of times. How many ADs did they show during the basketball games on television? I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe people here.
Well, he's a former coach.
He's
so
a former coach and everything, but I don't remember seeing the Arkansas's AD on television. I don't,
Right.
so maybe it's just sort of a perception thing because, Fulmer is a little more out front because of where he came to from the job or to get to the job, being a national championship winning football coach.
Yeah.
So maybe he's there and just it's like, okay, I'm an AD. I'm not supposed to be out front with all this stuff.
I just think this was a lot more about Barnes getting what he wanted for his assistants in terms of money and contracts than it was Phillip Fulmer showing up at practice or an awards dinner.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's. There's a scale. The options aren't zero support.
Yeah.
100%
Right.
support. I think he was getting support from Phillip Fulmer. Clearly, he wanted more support in terms of salary for himself, salary for his staff, and the ability to give multi-year contracts. So anyway, all right. So he's not always honest. I think he was smart, as Mike pointed out, though. This is one where it's like somebody says, does this make me look fat? No. All right. And I ask that to people all the time, and I'm happy when they lie to me. Should Barnes' new salary result in higher expectations? They will, but should they? We'll discuss.